Today is December 20th, 2022, and I'm replacing a cylinder ignition lock in a 2001 ML320. And I watched a couple other YouTube videos, and one guy's that I was able to isolate, it actually looked pretty good. Anyway, I'm making this as a supplement basically to his, and I'm going to show you what I did, which was basically the same thing. Anyway, he said to take off these two side panels, this one and this one. His didn't have this. I'm also going to put a link to his video in mine if I can, just to even more help. But anyway, his is pretty much cut and dry, and he shows you how to get the lock in and out. So I am not going to really go into total detail about this. But anyway, I loosened this down. There's three screws. Excuse me. There's three T27 torque bolts from underneath, and then the cover just pops off and it fell right down. And I lifted the lock, I lifted the steering lock back up, the steering wheel back up, and I locked it. See, so just so I could get to it, and I lift this up. Also, I want to say an important thing that the other guy didn't say. I knew when I was messing with this lock, he said to turn it all the way on right before the ignition lock. And I knew if the battery was connected, then all the lights were going to be on. And I didn't want to have anything go wrong while I had the ignition lock on and sit there draining the battery and the solenoid and whatnot. So I literally disconnected the battery, which I didn't want to do. But make sure your battery's disconnected, because you don't want to have to be going in a hurry replacing this lock cylinder. Anyway, the key has to be in it. I have the old cylinder here. I'm not even going to show it to you. It was all nasty and worn out. And both the old keys were wore out. Mercedes make you jump through a million hoops to order a new cylinder. It was a nightmare, but we finally got it with the VIN number, and it worked perfectly. It came with this key in it, and then I ordered an extra key right here. So it actually came with the key, and I made sure the pins in the tumbler were all correct before you put it in. I actually cleaned the inside of it out because there was some WD-40 in there. I used some Q-tips. I cleaned it out real good. And basically, once you have the lock turned, and you have to have the key in it. If you don't have the old key in it, I feel bad for you, and I don't know how to get this this cylinder out. That's a whole other ball game that I'm not even going to discuss, because I didn't have to do that, and hopefully you don't either. But anyway, once the key was all the way turned to the right, I was able to turn this. I used a pair of pliers like this. And I got it up around the sides, and I was able, once it was to the right, I was able to turn it to the left. And literally, I went back with the key, and the cylinder came out. Now, just take your time and be careful, because you have to use the right orientation to get the new cylinder back in. And it was a little tricky, but you have to pay attention, get it in there. Once you get it in, it'll go in, and you turn it, and then you'll know that it's in. And then you take this bezel, and it'll push in, and then you turn it to the right, and it'll be back to where it's supposed to be. And it falls right in. Let me see here. So anyway, I'm gonna put the key in it. Also, this actually pops off too. It's real easy with the wire. It knows when the key is in there, and it's pretty cut and dry. It just pops off. I left it off just to make this video. The wire comes down in here, and it just slides back on, and it has to go on. But I'm going to show you. So the key goes in, and there it is. Off. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. You want to make sure too, when you have these new keys, that just take a little screwdriver side and just rub it on here. Make sure there's no burrs on this thing. This can cause some problems with the pins in the tumbler. I actually use You're not really supposed to put oil in the locks. You're supposed to put powdered graphite. I actually had some powdered graphite that I put in the key, and it actually made it a lot easier. So just put it in. So once again, this is not a step-by-step video because it's pretty cut and dry, and I'm going to put the link to the other video. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. So I'm going to put this piece back on the top, and there's only a plastic panel right here. I'll show you. Right here. Plastic piece that goes up underneath the bottom and snaps in. We'll put the three bolts back in, the T27 Torx. And the very last step I'll do is hook the battery back up, and that'll be it. And that's the end of the video, and that's how it's done. So I hope this helps supplement the other guy, and I appreciate the one that he put. I think that covered everything. Okay, that's it. I wish you the best changing yours if you need to.